I don't necessarily know how this video came across my timeline, but you can see the image that you were looking at, and that is of a obituary of a content creator on YouTube that goes by the name of Soncerae Smith, or I think a new channel, well, I can't say that it's new, Macho something. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can look it up really fast. Let's go to history and take a look. Black Macho. All right. Soncerae is somebody that has been on YouTube longer than I've been on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for a little over 15 years now. I might not post as consistently as I used to, but I've been on this platform for quite some time. Soncerae is a content creator who I've known about. I've never really watched her like that. I mean, years ago, probably when I first got on, I looked at some of her stuff in passing, but never paid any real attention to it. However, I do remember, I believe it was sometime back either in 2013 or around 2014, when she had, I don't even think she had 1,000 subscribers on her YouTube page. And she kept closing out her videos by stating she was trying to get to 5,000 subs or something like that. Her viewership numbers have always been very low. And at that time, her subscription numbers were very low. Then out of nowhere, the subscribers or the subscriptions go up. And I'm bringing all this stuff up for a reason. Some of y'all might wonder, why am I mentioning this when you're looking at a picture of an obituary of this woman who, back about 5 or 6 years ago, faked her own death. The reason why I'm bringing up the numbers that she's had, which were significantly low, then all of a sudden her subscriber count boosted up without the views matching those subscriptions. This right here should be able to identify a pattern, that there is something that is inauthentic about this woman, something very fake about this woman. Likewise with her faking her death 6 years ago back in 2020. These are part of the reasons as of why. I mean, I really don't know what to say, but let me say this much. Soncerae, if you happen to come across this video, because I don't believe you're dead, I just sat down and, like I said earlier, I don't know how this video came across my timeline. I believe it came from some other content creator. I can't think of the name right now, but it randomly came across my timeline. And I said, okay, I've seen this playbook before. I've never made any videos, as far as from what I can remember, pertaining to Soncerae, or I guess she goes by her channel name Black Macho. Never felt the need to. However, she's been in countless back and forths with other content creators on social media. And the fact that you have a woman that has faked her death before, and most likely is doing it again, because like I said, I don't believe that this woman is deceased. I don't think so. And I'll show you in just a minute why I don't think so. But the fact that you have a woman who has faked her death numerous times, according to what some of y'all have stated in some of the videos that I looked at, just goes to show you that some of y'all are taking the social media thing just a little bit too far. Now, some of y'all have made videos a couple of weeks ago stating that you think this is fake. And now some of y'all are coming back and saying, oh, now I think this is real because there's an obituary. I'll say this much. I've been to too many funerals in my lifetime. But unfortunately, that's an unfortunate reality of life. The older you get, you are going to start going to more funerals. That's just a fact that we all have to deal with, especially the longer you live. And I can tell you that looking at this obituary, I've seen enough obituaries. There's several things that stand out about this to me that just don't really make any sense. An obituary is typically going to have, it just shows June 1st, 1980 to January 26, 2026. Anytime you pick up an obituary of somebody who passed away, what it will say is sunrise, and let's just go with the dates of, I guess, when she was born, June 1st, 1980. Sunset, January 15th, 2026. Now, I want y'all to look at that last date of where you should see the words sunset before you actually see the date itself. Because what is it in reference to when you just say January 15, 2026? Okay, what happened on January 15th? What happened on June 1st, 1980? What happened? You see, this is generic. This is inauthentic. This is not consistent with what you would see with a funeral home actually putting forth. And then the next thing that's missing is you don't see the services that, hey, funeral services will be held on this date. There's nothing. There's just a photo. There's a name, her name, and then I guess the funeral parlor, if that even exists. And see, some of y'all are saying, well, there's an obituary, so it has to be real. All right. When I sit back and I hear y'all say this, it just goes to let me know. And I'm only hearing the women say this, and boy, I could speak for days on that, but I'm not going to do so. I don't want to be too long and labor too long in this video. But just the fact that these things are missing, you might even be able to find a contact number to the funeral parlor, because usually if it's a business, that's what it is. So they're trying to get people for when you actually do have these services to utilize their service so they can continue to stay in business. So the fact that you don't see that, maybe it will be posted, maybe it wouldn't. I can't entirely remember right now. I don't have an obituary in front of me, so I can't be for sure. But the fact that we don't even have an address to the funeral home, where the funeral was held at, when the services were actually performed, it just says June 1st, 1980 to January 15th, 2026. Once again, what took place on those 2 days? Or what's roughly about 45, 46 years? Or just shy of 46 years? So what took place on those days? This would be very unprofessional for any funeral parlor that wishes to stay in business. To have such an unprofessional obituary set up like this, to where you don't even know when the services are held to pay your final respects if this woman actually passed away. There's another screenshot I'm going to let y'all look at. What's wrong with this picture? I'm going to let y'all sit and look at it for a second longer, and maybe you could get back to me. If not, let's just wait. Okay. So the first thing I found wrong about this is when I looked at this video of her daughter. This is supposedly her daughter, Soncerae's daughter, or Black Macho, the daughter, who is 25 years old, at least according to what she stated in the video. From within the first 30 seconds of the video of her recording this, she starts laughing. Even as she's describing the details of the state of condition that she found her mother in, she starts laughing. Something about this is funny to her. Now, I'll say this much. I lost my father many, many years ago when I was still a teenager. That was the most heartbreaking moment of my lifetime. There was absolutely nothing funny in that moment. Nothing funny well after it happened, and we're talking, hell, it's been well over a quarter century since he passed away. There's still not nothing that I can find that I would even remotely laugh at pertaining to the circumstances around his death. And what she described was seeing her mother hooked up in the hospital with all kinds of tubes. Now, some of the other content creators, some of the other women who've made videos talking about this said that y'all seen the photos. Now, I don't know about the photos. I haven't seen them. Maybe they're on her Facebook page or whatever. I don't know. I haven't gone there. What I do know is this. I know what it's like. And when I looked at this video, I got very offended. Because just the thought of what happened over 26 years ago with my father passing and the whole events of how it went down, him not coming home that night, waking up in the morning, he wasn't in his bed, my mother up worried, not knowing what was going on, and getting ready to go to school, just hoping that, okay, that by the time I come home, things will go back to normal. And then to come back home later that day after school and be told by family members he's in the hospital and it doesn't look good. To take the day off the next day from school, to show up to the very same hospital that I was born in, to now see my father laid up in this hospital with tubes and breathing apparatuses running down his throat, with all kinds of scanners and sensors hooked up onto his body, watching him on a life support system, just remembering how this air machine, the way it functioned and moved, and watching it shudder and whatnot, all of that, I remember that all too well. And thinking about it right now, still, it starts to get me choked up. Because as I stated, that was the most heartbreaking moment I've ever experienced in my life, was losing a loved one who was so close to me. There was nothing about that moment, even to this day, that I can even sit back and have a chuckle at. So when I sit back and I look at this video of this young lady describing what she allegedly seen of her mother after having a heart attack in a hospital, and she can chuckle and laugh multiple, and even says it herself. This is not me making this up or allegedly said. No, she said it herself. With not one tear rolling down her face. You don't see her wiping her nose. You don't hear her sniffling because she's been crying, and you get your nose gets the mucus build up, and you don't see none of that. She's telling this story as if she was just giving a story time. In this right here, I find it's not only offensive because you're lying, but what's most egregious about this is the fact that my father went through a similar experience. And when a doctor could come to you and he looks at you and he says, listen, we don't have any alarming news to tell you, because there's absolutely nothing we can do for him. It was a statement that David Carroll and myself used to make when the late David Carroll was alive. And we would say, listen, man, I would love to be able to help him, but you're not giving me much to work with. And then we would use the analogy and say, the doctor, you go to the hospital, your loved one is in the ICU, the doctor goes in, you're waiting with anticipation, with bated breath. Hours later, the doctor may come back out. He's exhausted. He takes the mask off. He might throw it down on the ground with frustration. And you look and you say, you kind of already know the inevitable, but you're hoping that there's some sign that he might have pulled through. And the doctor says, listen, I really tried to save him, but there was not much for me to work with. And you have to deal with that harsh reality that your loved one is not going to get through this. I lived that reality over 26 years ago. So when I find somebody who can talk about their family member, their parent, who supposedly died in a similar fashion and can laugh about this and get a chuckle out of it and find it funny. I remember how traumatizing that actually was and how long that pain lingered for many years. Hell, 9-10 years later, thinking about it broke me down to tears on a job at one point. So I take this deeply personal. When I see a young lady that can sit up here and talk about a situation like this and find it funny. Because the only reason that you can find a chuckle out of this, and you can look at the look in her face, there's no tears rolling down her eyes, there's no snot coming out of her nose, no nothing. She don't look like she got bags in her eyes because she's been up crying all damn night. There's absolutely nothing that showcases this woman is in a state of depression. The only reason that you can be so calm and take a chuckle and have several moments where you laugh and even admit that you're laughing is if what you were saying were not even true to begin with, and you already know this. Now, I asked y'all when I first swiped over to the screenshot, what's wrong with this picture? Take a look at the obituary, the alleged obituary. I read out the dates, which are missing typical talking points that you would find at any funeral home will put on an obituary. Sunrise, June 1st, 1980. You don't see sunrise. Sunset, January 15th, 2026. You don't see sunset. So what are these dates in reference to? So we have no choice but to conclude that the date is in reference to the time she was born, to the time she supposedly passed away. All right, so January 15, 2026 is when she supposedly passed away. Numerous of these content creators, and I'm talking about these female content creators, have come out to confirm this and say, well, yeah, she did pass away on January 15th of this year, 2026. Once again, I'm going to ask you, what's wrong with this picture? Don't look at her face. You ain't got to worry about none of this. Take a look down here. You see likes, not applicable. Views, which are low. Once again, as I told y'all, because that's what you're going to find. And then furthermore, look at the date this video was recorded. This is when it was posted. January 13th, 2026. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe we need to sit down and look. Now, I thought about getting a couple of clips and actually posting it, but I'm not going to waste my time doing all that because she admitted it in this video. And I'm talking about her daughter, that her mother had passed away, was deceased at the time she was recording this video. So what I'm trying to figure out is how can a funeral home get it so grossly wrong to state that 2 days later, that this woman is deceased, compared to when the video was actually uploaded and recorded, which was, and hell, maybe the video was recorded a day or two prior to her uploading this video. This could have just simply been the uploading date. So which could mean it had been even longer. How does a funeral home get it so grossly wrong that you can be this far off. It makes no sense. If you ask me, there was nothing wrong with this. Well, no, I'm not going to say that there's nothing wrong with Soncerae. There's a whole lot wrong with her. If you're going to get on social media multiple times and fake your own damn death, let alone all the other foolish, ridiculous nonsense she has been caught up in over the damn year, I'm not even going to get into all that. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of time. But now, furthermore, as I'm sitting back and I'm listening to this, I've watched a couple of videos, and yet you got black women who are supporters. I don't know whether they were supporters of hers or where they stand when it comes down to her, but they're defending Soncerae Smith, saying that she died alone in a hotel, saying that she had no support from black men. And here's the crazy part. Soncerae Smith has been on YouTube for quite some time. Longer than I have. I don't know how long. She's had multiple channels. She's bought subscriptions and views. Let me just put it this way. She's nobody that anyone cares to truly listen to. The people only listen to her to go watch a train wreck. This is all you're looking at. But if you're dealing with a woman, and according to what y'all stated, I know about the 2020 situation where she faked her own death then. I didn't know there were several other times that she's done it. But this is just yet again, another one of those deaths that you can account to her faking once again. But if she's faking her own deaths, getting impregnated and having a child by a guy who I believe she was living in his van, or, I mean, you can't make this shit up, man. If she's doing all of these things, keeping a child from a man that made it clear, I'm not trying to have a baby by you, but says she decides to keep it anyway, how good of a person do you think this is? And then on top of that, she has a GoFundMe for her funeral expenses. This is probably why the daughter is sitting up here laughing, because they know that they're playing y'all for fools. This woman is not deceased. Like I said, I mean, the proof is right here. For some of y'all, well, she really is dead this time. I really believe it. I really believe it. And y'all don't even take your time to just simply look at the goddamn dates. Look at the numbers. Do a little goddamn research. Call the damn funeral home and find out, when was the funeral? Who's the director of this funeral home? Do you have a website that I can go ahead and look these things up? If they don't have it, then you know what time. And I'm almost certain that if I go ahead and do a Google search on this and if this funeral home even exists, then they're going to have no recollection of any of this. So what did they do? Did they have the funeral simultaneously when she passed away on the 15th of January? Okay. Now, let's just hypothetically say that this were true, that she passed away. The black women that have gotten online, I couldn't tell you what Soncerae has been talking about, or what's it, Black Macho. Couldn't tell you what she talks about on these channels. As I told y'all, I don't watch her. I don't take her seriously. When you would go as far to be so pathetic that you would fake your own death, therefore there is nothing else I can do with you. There's a lot that I can look past, but when you start doing stuff to this extent, I'm sorry. There's no reason for me to even waste my time. But I've never felt the need to actually speak about it up until I've seen this come up again on my timeline. And I'm talking about since I first caught wind of the first time she faked her death back in 2020. And it just goes to show you she's not a good liar. Some of y'all are so stupid. Y'all say, well, it's got to be real this time. He got her daughter on there. He got her daughter. Okay. What? Listen, man. There's a reason why. And I've stated this time and time again when it came down to my beef, the fallout that I had almost 11 years ago now with one Tommy Sotomayor. I've made it clear as of why I'll never look past what he did. Despite the fact that the man apologized in a text message over a year after that happened. I stated why I would never look past that. Because once you understand human behavior, and Tommy Sotomayor, who has a history of having fallouts with people he was supposedly cool with at one point. You see, once you acknowledge that this is your pattern, when somebody, we're not saying, okay, well, he had a fallout with somebody, it was a mistake, he realized, okay, let me try to squash the beef. No, that's not what this is. There's a consistent pattern of him having fallouts and trying to make people look bad, trying to embarrass the individual or individuals who he had a fallout with. And when you see there is a repetitious pattern of an individual doing stuff like this, the reason why you don't forgive them and put things in the past and let bygones be bygones and start buddying around with them as if this never happened in the first place is pretty simple. Because why? When somebody demonstrates that pattern, what they are showcasing to you is, okay, you might have been able to outsmart me the first time. Because when he pulled his bullshit with me, I had screenshots to showcase that, no, dude, what you're saying are flat out lies. So typically when you get caught the first time, you're going to revamp the strategy. And then the next time, if it happens again, you're going to become a little bit more sophisticated. You're not going to leave yourself wide open the same way you did. And it's the same thing when it comes down to Soncerae. Okay, she pulled us a couple of times before, so allegedly, I don't know. I just remember the time she did it back in 2020. And now this right here, this situation has me believing that this is a hoax. But if she did it in 2020 and realized she got caught, if she did it other times and realized she got caught, each time you do it again, you're only going to revamp the strategy. And in order to get y'all to believe what's happening, okay, maybe I'll just get my daughter to come out here, which she doesn't even come across as believable because she's laughing throughout multiple portions of the video. You make sense out of that. And yet and still, well, I believe her, what she said is true. Because why would she get her daughter out there? And it just shows you the caliber of women that follow somebody like this. It shows you the caliber of women that will go ahead. Okay, let me. All right. Let me just keep it on the obituary. I've seen some video clips of a female that I have not spoken about in many years. A female who has probably been on YouTube, well, definitely has been on YouTube longer than I have been. And might have even been on YouTube longer than Soncerae. And I think the last time I made a video going at her was back in 2018. And she goes by Successful Ladies Live or whatever the damn channel name is. I could care less. And her and a few others, but I'm going to mainly talk about her. These females are sitting around and they're somehow making this about black men. And like I said, let's just hypothetically say Soncerae really did pass away. In that hotel where she allegedly had that heart attack, there wasn't no black man in there. No black man give her a heart attack or did anything that caused anything to happen to her. But yet and still, they are trying to somehow round up black men and put us right in the same category with this. As if this has anything to do with us. And let me just say this much. When it comes down to many of you females, the Successful Ladies Live, a host of y'all that are sitting up here and y'all want to try to make this about black men, you know what this showcases? That y'all have not evolved. As I told y'all, Successful Ladies Live has been on YouTube longer than I have. Soncerae, or also known as Black Macho, has been on YouTube longer than me. Y'all might have been on YouTube for damn near, for what, 2 decades, for all I know. I started uploading videos a little over 15 years ago. So that's a decade and a half. Your content has not evolved. Y'all are sitting around here still complaining about black men, even though what you are dealing with has absolutely nothing to do with black men. And instead of y'all calling this out for what it is, which is despicable, that a woman would get online multiple times and attempt to fake her own death. Instead of y'all calling her out for what she is, or y'all will say, well, why is it that black men aren't with her and helping her? Why would anybody want to get involved with someone like this? Why should any man get involved with a woman like this who does things like this? This is an individual who is dangerous to herself, and she is a danger to others around her. So when y'all sit up here and y'all are gun-ho on trying to somehow shoehorn black men into this, I'm sorry, there's not a whole lot that I really can say about y'all. And when I sit back and I look at y'all content and y'all are still reciting the same redundant, stupid talking points about black men. I mean, Successful Ladies Live, I don't know why she would even post that as a title for her channel. Because according to what she stated, she's been homeless. She's been living in her car. And of course, she might even still be living in her car to this day without a roof over her head. These are some of the same females who will get on black men based off of the line of work that we do for a living if we're blue collar. But if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard something about her stating how she works a cleaning job, cleaning houses. Are you okay? Let me just say this much. I'm not knocking nobody for whatever line of work they do. If you make an honest living, it's a respectable living. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not here to judge nobody behind that. But my thing is this: you can't sit up here and lecture people, browbeat people, troll people, outright talk shit about people. And when I say that, I'm talking about black men now that she's talking about. And yet, your whole situation is fucked up. This is the very same woman that when she found herself in bad situations, her own family wanted nothing to do with her. You're a grown woman with a child. Living in your car, living in streets, living in hotel rooms, or whatever place that you were living, you did not have a roof over your head. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe when I first came on YouTube and came across Successful Lady Live's channel, that she had a house. So how did you fall so far to the point where you lost your house and you're living in your car? How does that happen? And see, the thing is, you would figure at a moment like that you would stop and reevaluate what you're doing. That maybe I need to stop sitting up here making black men my biggest issue and focus on what I need to do to get my life together. The crazy part was when David Carroll passed away and I made a video referencing him or talking about the whole situation. She came to my comment thread and told me, I hope that you don't end up like him. I guess trying to give me a word of advice not to be on the same tip that he was on. And that's all good and dandy. I don't got a problem with that. But lady, you're still sitting around engaging in the same talking points that you were doing back from 2016, 2018, and still to this day in 2026. These are women that wonder why they have a hard time moving throughout life. And I'm going to tell y'all what your problem is. It's not black men. The problem that many females have, a lot of you black women that get online and want to show your faces talking this gobbledygook that you do about black men. You lack situational awareness. This might have flown 10 years ago. At some point, you got to be smart enough to say, all right, maybe I need to put this shit down and focus on what I need to do as a woman to get myself together. And sitting up here talking about black men ain't going to help me accomplish that. Years ago, I used to state that, hey, I like to get on YouTube, sit in front of the camera, back when I used to show my face, and let it all hang out. Say whatever I want to say. I don't move like that anymore. Because unlike many of y'all, I gauge the environment to see what's going on. What's happening with all the censorship around me. Hell, making videos back during the pandemic, criticizing some of that stuff, YouTube was retroactively flagging videos. So at that point in time, you got to be smart. and realize, no, you can't get online and say whatever the hell you want to. A lot of these females have got online, talked whatever trash they wanted to talk, didn't know how to put a filter on their mouth, didn't know how to at least come across somewhat reasonable and just, hey, I'm just giving an assessment, a fair critique. No, y'all come across as trolling and hate speech. Then y'all find yourselves in a situation to where you can't get a job, you don't own a business, you didn't start anything to be able to keep yourself secure. You're hoping that you're going to make money off of making content on YouTube by bashing black men. Now you have to come to the harsh reality that ain't going to get you paid. It ain't going to do nothing for you. When you go out here to apply for a damn job, hell, the manager or the employer or the recruiting agent might be a black man. This is stuff that y'all don't stop to think about. I mean, listen, let me say this much. Cynthia G got online back in 2018. I remember I seen the video. She was on a live stream and she was crying. She was in tears, literally boiling in tears. And said that I wish I would have never got on YouTube. I wish I could go back to my life to what it was before I got on YouTube, because I'm not even employable anymore. I can't even go and work for corporate America anymore. And the reason why this was based off of her not knowing how to regulate her mouth. She was crazy enough to get out here and show her face. And this is when she was talking all this shit about white guys and white people and saying all the stuff she was saying about them and didn't think that was going to have consequences. And what I'm saying is, all of this shit that you're doing right now has consequences. You're not giving fair, balanced opinions. Many of y'all come across as hate speech. Now, Cynthia G's channel was terminated back in 2023. From what I understand, she got it back now because you can find it. But the channel don't garner nearly as many views as it once did. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think she can monetize that channel. And see, when YouTube decides to pull a plug on some of y'all who are making all of this goddamn money because you were reckless with your mouth and you didn't think that your momentum can come to an end, that's when you find yourselves looking crazy, sleeping in hotel rooms, living out in the streets. From what people are saying, that Soncerae was doing Uber Eats and Grubhub and these little DoorDash jobs. A woman at that age bracket should have a career. And if you don't have a career, well, listen, you should have the skill sets to go right into a career in case the business doesn't work for you. At that age, you should have developed yourself to, hey, you already have the skill sets to have a job that's going to pay you a significant amount of money. And you doing your side business, you transfer over that completely once that supersedes the money that you're making from a 9-to-5. Now, once again, I can't critique Soncerae on that level because I didn't watch her. So I don't know what she's talking about in her videos. A lot of black women are bashing her because they're saying she was a pick-me and black male identified and whatever. I mean, I could care less. But what I'm sitting back and I'm looking at are these females, like Successful Ladies Live, individuals who lack critical thinking, who lack situational awareness, don't know how to adapt with the times, and they're wondering why they're falling short in life right now, sitting on YouTube, making bitter, angry videos, talking about the same thing you was talking about damn near 2 decades ago. You have not moved on. People can see this. Sitting here making videos talking about black men is not going to make you rich on social media. It just isn't. It shows that you're not versatile, that you lack creativity. Y'all come across as bitter and angry. It really is pathetic at this point in time. And I warned y'all back in 2023 about Cynthia G. For those of y'all who like listening to her content and listening to her run off with that nonsense she would say about black men and aborting of black male babies, I told y'all, listen, this could become. I said, listen, you don't want this to become synonymous with your name and your image. You don't want that. It might feel good to listen to her for the moment. it might feel like, okay, yeah, it might be witty, trendy, or whatever the case may be, but you don't want this shit to become popular because you don't want this to become synonymous with your image. And what you're looking at is the females who did not know how to differentiate and distinguish that. They're the ones finding themselves on social media with really just hoping that they can get a paycheck off of YouTube, trying to crank out as many videos with no substance, with just videos, putting them out here just for the sake of making a video so they can get views and hope to get paid and get a paycheck off of YouTube, which is going to be very little when you think about it. This is really what you're up against. Because why? At some point you didn't think that the talking points that you espouse now could at some point come down the line to haunt you. For me, I don't get as many views as I used to. I'm not as popular as I used to. Some might say or call me a relic from the past, and you know what? I'm fine with that. Because I live off of a simple mantra. I'm not out here trying to be famous. And one of the things that I try to state is, listen, the less you know, the better. The less you know about me, the better. The females that are getting online making these videos don't think along those lines. And then they're wondering why. I mean, like I said, with Successful Ladies Live, she wasn't humbled at the fact that she was homeless, might even still be homeless to this day. It didn't stop to dawn on her that maybe I need to rethink what I'm doing. Maybe this is not the way to go. Maybe I need to pump the brakes and just try to figure out what it is that I need to do to get my life together. They don't think like this. So they get online and they still continue to espouse the nonsense that they've been espousing. I mean, at some point, you have to demonstrate growth in your channel if you're going to be a content creator. You have to demonstrate versatility, that you're capable of talking about multiple subject matters, not sitting here harboring on the same one that you've been talking about for the past 2 damn decades. You have to showcase that you know how to adapt with the times, and what we're looking at is many of these females don't know how to adapt with the times, and this is why they're still sitting around talking about the same generic talking points that they were using for more than 2 decades ago. Just remember, that stuff starts to follow you. It becomes synonymous with your name. And these females, since they lack situational awareness, they lack the understanding of consequences, long-term consequences behind their actions, they think they can get out here and say whatever they want to say about black men. And that somehow, after making a living for yourself, whether it be a mediocre or a relatively comfortable living, of trashing the name and the image of black men, that somehow black men are supposed to get out here and come to your aid and come to your defense. No. That shows that you lack situational awareness. When you have situational awareness, you understand that if you get out here and you start trashing somebody, that's going to be a problem. I'm going to give you one example. One of my best friends, may his father, may his soul rest in peace. But back when we were teenagers, I remember one time I was spending the night at his father's place. We were there having a sleepover. And I didn't like I think I was complaining because there wasn't enough heat in the home. So under my breath, I was talking with my friend and just pretty much saying some disparaging things about the way he kept the home, the heat and whatnot. And he overheard me. And he stated, okay, well, I was going to let you take that bed over there to sleep in, but since you've been trashing my home, you go sleep on the couch over there since this place is so fucked up. I was a teenager at that time. I knew I was out of line. The next time I seen the man, I apologized right away. I said, listen, I was out of line. I shouldn't have said what I said. I should have shown you more respect than that than to come in here and say what I said. Long story short, he had no hard feelings. We shook hands and that was it. There was no extreme reaction that happened behind me running my mouth, but that was enough just to see him upset the way he was. That was the last time I ever did that again. And it taught me a valuable lesson. That no, you can't just run your mouth. If you value having a friendship with this person, if you value their respect. Now I'm telling you, there wasn't even a consequence behind it. He just said, you go sleep on that couch over there since this place is so fucked up. But that in itself was enough for me to realize, no, I can't move like that. There's just certain things you can't do without there being consequences. And I learned this as a teenager. As a man, I most certainly know this. And see, when you have good critical thinking skills, when you have situational awareness skills, you understand that you can't go about saying something that reckless and then expect the very same person or group of people that you are trashing to now come back and have your back when your ass is in the damn crack. It's not happening. And if for whatever reason you realize, see, there's certain things you have to understand in life, right? And this is the problem that I'm noticing amongst a lot of women. A lot of y'all don't think through what you're doing. And I say a lot of y'all need to be very careful. I'm talking about those of you who are trying to learn something, who are trying to improve. You got to be very careful with what woman you are listening to on these platforms. Because many of you, what I realize is you like to come out here and flex on other women. You're not giving honest information. You're not giving accurate information. And you're leading other young girls down a dark path. And I've seen this far too many times from Successful Ladies Live, from the Pink Pill, a host of other females. I mean, we remember damn near 10 years ago with the Pink Pill, that situation with the Veganator. Now, this is a woman that sat here and made an entire career on YouTube trashing black men. And then the moment a white guy got online saying some disparaging talking points, the very same group of men that she was trashing, referring to us as the losing team, she now expected to get out here and come to her aid. I have never seen nothing like this in my life. That we were just supposed to get out here and back this woman despite all the disgusting, despicable things that she and her other comrades have said about black men over the years. See, when you have good situational awareness skills, the first thing you have to understand, you need to know your strengths, and most certainly you need to understand your weaknesses. You don't run around talking and running your damn mouth. See, if you can't back what you're saying, and if you're talking trash, and it's the same thing, if I ever tell somebody, hey, I don't want nothing to do with you, you can rest assured I mean that. And if for whatever reason you go back on your word, then you realize I got to fall on the sword and come back and apologize. I got to come back on bended knees. Hey, I was out of pocket. I was out of line. Let's sit down and talk about this. You see, this is not what you actually get when it comes down to these females. Like I told you, when I was disrespecting my best friend's father's home and he had a problem with me, I came back the next time I seen him with an apology. Not excuses, not with expectations, but an apology. I came back on bended knees. I had to bend the knee. You see, these individuals don't think that way. They think they can get out here and say whatever they want to say. And then when they find their asses in the crack, the very same group of people that they were disparaging, they now feel entitled that you are supposed to just get out here and come to my defense. No apology, no acknowledgement of wrongdoing, nothing. Just get out here and come to my aid. This just goes to show you how dangerous this mindset really is. And how this is counterproductive. Because when you have situational awareness skills, you understand that, listen, I can go out here and talk trash, but if things go left, I have no way to defend myself. So therefore, you realize maybe talking trash about this group of people is not the best thing that I can do. Maybe the best thing that I can do is keep my mouth shut. And maybe on the occasion, I'll give an opinion, a fair and balanced perspective, just to try to get people to see it from a different point of view. That's not what they do. The fact that these women get online and they expected black men to come to the aid of Soncerae Smith, a woman who has faked her death on multiple times and most likely is doing it now. The fact that y'all expect that is out. It's insane to me. The fact that Crystalline Carrison expected black men to come to her aid when she got into it damn near a decade ago with the Veganator, after she can sit back and say all of the things that she said about black men, is outright insane. And when I sit back, and these are women that classify themselves as coaches, life coaches, teachers, gurus. My question is, what the hell are you teaching these young girls if you didn't even have enough common sense to realize that if you're trash mouthing a group of people, then you don't expect that said group of people to come to your defense when you find yourself in a situation that goes left? That tells you enough. And if you can't understand that, then it starts to make sense on how a successful lady's life can find herself being homeless. Nobody wants to come to her aid, not even family. We are noticing a consistent pattern. These are the very same females that get online and will elevate white men to no end, but could not produce one if their lives depended on it. Why? Because you are intolerable. No man of substance, whether it be white, black, Hispanic, or otherwise, want anything to do with y'all past sex. And listen, it might even be safe to say that they don't even want to go that far with you because it's just simply not worth the headaches. What y'all come across is nothing more but a bunch of bitter females who have not learned behind your mistakes, have not reevaluated anything in your lives as far as what is taking place on your end. Everything is woe is you and you're the victim, but at the end of the day, nobody's dealing with you. You don't have men around you like that. So how could you have a man that's your problem, that's causing you problems, when they don't want nothing to do with you? And the reason why this is because you're dealing with females who lack situational awareness. You lack basic common sense and critical thinking. You don't understand that there is consequences behind your actions. You don't understand basic physics and the laws of the universe. You don't understand this. And this is why you can get out here and run your mouths and then somehow wonder why. Why am I homeless? Why is it that I can't get a job? Why is it that the best I can do now is find a job cleaning up the homes of other people? But some of y'all are the very same females that'll get on a man or on a black man for being a bus operator. I don't know what else I can tell y'all behind this. I kind of went on a different tangent here. But I mean, the fact that we are looking at something like this, and just take a look at this. Upload date. Like I said, she stated that her mother was deceased at the recording of this video. That was on the 13th of January, just a little bit more than a month ago of this year. And look at what the obituary says. It showcases what I've been saying, is that there is absolutely no integrity when it comes down to individuals like this. And therefore, you can't expect anything out of a person who has absolutely no integrity. And with that being stated, that's all I got to say in this production. And I'll catch you on a later date.